Hello, welcome to Marts Garage. This is my son's Fiat. We've had this car in the family for about 14 years and it used to be my wife's, now my son's got it. I've just finished doing a round of repairs on it. I had to replace the alternator drive belt, and when I was doing that I discovered the front brake pipes were damaged, and the car also had problems with central locking and the trunk release, the boot release on the handle there. And I have taken care of all those things. So I hope you will join me as I show a series of videos just showing the repairs and any salient points for people doing the same job. I'm not an expert. All of these repairs were the first time I've done it. So you're welcome to join me and watch along as I take care of these repairs. I didn't intend to do in-depth videos, so they might be a bit sketchy, but the bottom line is I have managed to fix everything. So let's get cracking. Bit of an odd one today. My son had a problem with his alternator on the Fiat. Basically the alternator seized and then the belt fried. I was able to drive the car from his house to my house after checking, because although it wasn't charging, it had a new battery in it, and the water pump isn't driven by the multi-V belt, it's driven by the cam belt. So I was able to drive it here. It's not an easy job doing the alternator. You have to kind of partially disassemble stuff, and then the alternator is kind of up there, and that's the new one that's gone on. I've put the bottom bolts back in. I'm struggling to get the top bolt to start, but I have connected up the wires. Now if you're ever doing an alternator on a Fiat 500, I learnt this from watching a video for which I'm very grateful. There's two things that you have to do. The big problem is the alternator. It's hard enough to get at the bolts, but once you have got to the bolts, it's really hard to get it out. It won't come out through here. The only place for it to come out is down through here, but this is in the way. So what you have to do is break this suspension joint here and move this forward as far as you can, the hub. That moves this forward, and that isn't quite enough to get it through. You need a little bit more. So I had to undo that dog bone there, the engine mount dog bone, undo that bolt, and then you just pull everything forward. It only needs like 10 mil, and then the alternator comes down through this gap. So while it's nice and sunny today, I thought I'd try and put it back on. It's just arrived actually. So I've got it back on. I've got 2 out of the 3 bolts in, and I've connected the wires. So that's a good start on the job. So anyway, so I just thought I'd share that because it's a really difficult job. It's very hard to get at the bolts. The one that's at the top is really hard to get to. The bottom ones are okay, but there's the new one in place, and this is where it comes out, and that's what you have to do to get it out. If you don't do that, you've got no chance. I won't spend any more time discussing it, but that's what I'm doing. Hello, welcome to Marts Garage. What I've noticed is something that is potentially very dangerous. So I'm going to show that. It's a problem because I've heard of this before. When I got in here to change the alternator, which is up there, I noticed the brake pipe here Now this brake pipe has a rubber sort of protector on there. Now the problem with these rubber protectors is that they can harbour moisture and cause the crimping on the hose to rust. And if I take this hose is loose, look. See that? So if these brakes were applied heavily, that would probably pop off. Here's the rubber. I just use this knife and cut it off, and inside is the remnants of the crimp. Look, that's all rusty metal in there. Look, see, that's the crimp. It's just disappeared. So so I've changed the alternator, I've just fitted the belt, and I've ordered some new hoses, so before it goes back to my son I'll put 2 new hoses on it as well. Okay, I just thought I'd show you that because that is a very dangerous thing and it can lead to brake failure. Look, what we're looking at here is the hose, and that could just pull off. I'm not going to pull it off because I don't want it to leak till I've got the new hoses. That is really bad, isn't it? Okay, so wanted to show you that there, Fiat, and I believe the Ford KA is the same. Ford, I don't know if it's car or KA, but the Ford KA is the same, and I believe the Vauxhall Adam, they're all the same car. This brake hose setup where there's a rubber protector covering the ferrule here, this crimping part, is a very, very bad design and needs to be checked. In fact, it's probably best to just cut the rubber protectors off, which is probably what I'll do on the new hoses. Okay, just wanted to show you that. Another thing with these Fiats is there's like a cavity here which can fill up with dirt and grit, and I've dug a load out of here, so it's best to make sure you keep this area clear. Here, I've already dug it out, so there's not much coming out now, but make sure you keep that area above there clear of road dirt. There's still some in there now. I'm going to get a pry bar and sort of chisel it out. That's why there's all dirt on here, because it's come out of there. Okay. With regards to the alternator job, I'll just show you how I put the new belt on. Hang on. In essence, you need a sort of crow's foot wrench to get onto that bolt head up there. So to fit the belt, you have to detension the tensioner, and what I've got there is a 1/2 inch spanner, 9/16, a bit of 9/16 hex, and a socket and a 1/2 inch drive. So that's got enough leverage to pull that tensioner down. Can you see? Because, for instance, that spanner on its own there isn't enough, and you can't get on directly with a socket. Well, you can't when it's further up, you know, when it's completely released. So I just thought I'd show you that little setup there, because that's another little handy tip. So there we are, the alternator's on, the belt's on. I've just got to put these covers back on now. You have to take this one off to get to the front bolt on the cover that goes behind it. It goes like that, and to get to that screw you have to take this off so you can get up the back of there. Can you see where that screw is on the flange there? That's where you have to get to, but you can't get to it with this in place. Bit of a poor design, really. Okay, everything else straightforward. Oh yeah. Oh, with the Fiat, yeah, a bit of a nightmare. The top bolt on the alternator is very difficult to get onto, but I did it using various sockets and things. I'll see if I can point the camera down in the gap. It might just be able to show where it is. It's somewhere around about there, but it's difficult to get to. Yeah, it's down behind the air conditioning pump. So other than that bolt, now I've got the car jacked up at the moment, and I haven't actually tightened that bolt because it's really awkward to reach. So when the wheel's back on and back down on the ground, I'll tighten up the bolt. But I thought I'll just show you a couple of little salient features on this Fiat, including the dangerous brake hoses. Hello, I'm back out on the Fiat. I've just put the new brake pipes on. The new brake pipes came in and I've just put them on. So there's a new brake pipe in place. The unions came undone okay. The brake pipe screws straight into the caliper, and the bleed nipple came undone okay. So that's pretty good. So there's that one. And there's the near side. So that's the new ones in place. I just left the bleed nipples open and it kind of self-bled. I've just tried it and there's a good pedal, so I think that's okay. Let's just have a look at the old hoses. This is the one that alerted me to the problem, and you can see that the hose isn't crimped on at all. So let's just see what it takes to pull this off. Look at that, look at that. It wouldn't have took much to blow that off, would it, in an emergency stop? Wow, can you believe that? Wow, that's really, really alarmingly dangerous, isn't it? There's no, hang on. There's no sort of false jeopardy here. That's genuine. At least that part wasn't rusted. Let's see how bad the other one was. I changed it just as a matter of course. I didn't just do the one. So let's see what this one's like. Oh, this one was actually still okay, but the rust had started. But I'm happy to fit 2 new ones. That's all right. Okay, righto. Nice straightforward job. My son's car, you know, you don't want him driving around in something unsafe, do you? Oops. Okay, hopefully some of that might be useful to you. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers then, bye. Hello, I'm back out working on my son's Fiat. It's had a long history of the tailgate not opening, and various problems, including a boot open message. Now this is a common problem with these cars, and I've tried repairing it in the past without any real success, and I'm working on it now. And I'll show you what I've done and what I've tested, although something that I've done has stopped something from working, so yeah, so not great. This handle here, you can see that there's a gap between the handle and the thing. For years, and I'm talking probably the last 10 years, that handle, you'd open it and it'd stay there like that. You'd have to put your fingernail up and pull it down. Well, I've had this apart. There are videos on YouTube showing how to do it. You just basically take the 4 nuts off the back and then pry the plastic part out. It takes a bit of doing, you know, with little screwdrivers and things. I didn't film any of that because I didn't know if it'd work or not. And there was a circlip that was broken here, So I bought some circlips, well actually E-clips, a selection of E-clips, and I've replaced the E-clip, and now that works. Oh yeah, and I've lubed the heck out of it here where this hinge is, so that works now, and I've tested it electrically and it works. The other problem is this is the latch, which obviously normally goes in there, and this doesn't work now, but it did work at one point when I was doing my when I sort of got that thing working, but now it doesn't work. But what I did between it working and it not working is I've exposed all these wires here. In this area here, the wires you can see that I've repaired that. Look, it's soldered, and that one, and can you see that these wires here have broken, and that one there, and that green one there, and that black one actually. And I've been in and taped them up. But what I've done, I've also, there was a broken wire there which I broke when I was snipping off the rubber bellows thing. So I'm going to try and fit a replacement harness here. I've bought the harness. Here it is. This is a Phoebe, whatever it is, F-E-B-I, Bilstein one. And this is what they sell as a replacement. I think it goes that way around. So I suppose what I need to do is cut these wires here, and then you'll kind of lose it into the tailgate and lose it into the car there, the odd ends there. So I thought I'd try and do that job because this is quite a common problem. Yeah, okay. So let's give that a go. So I'll probably cut about 3 or 4 inches out, and then there'll be that much going in. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. Okay, yeah. I'm a little bit unsure about it because I've never done it before, as usual. But I'm going to start giving it a go. I think the best thing to do is to do the wires one at a time. And I'll start with the thick ones. Okay, right, let's give it a go. I don't know how this will come out on film. Let's start with one of them. I'll cut the water hose. Well, that's going to leak in it. Will that leak? Okay. Don't leak. Oh, disconnect the battery. I'd had it disconnected, but I'd temporarily reconnected it. Right, let's start with the thick brown one. Okay. I've loosened all the harnesses, so plenty of slack. Let's go with this thick brown one. Try these. Right, I believe that goes that way around with that pointed end that way. Package just arrived with this in it. This is a replacement one of these. I don't know if that's on the camera. So just out of interest, although it might not work with that big wire, I'll just connect. Okay, so I'm looking for some better crimpers that work at the end rather than here, because it's hard to get them around the wire. I trust that is about as far as I can throw it. Okay, I'm going to stop filming I think, because to be honest I'm really struggling with this. It's just really awkward. Well, that ain't very good, is it? That's the factory crimp and it's just come straight off. What a load of rubbish. Fuck's sake. Honestly. Honestly? What the hell? You know, I'm worried about crimping that end and that end's just come off. And look, it's all done wrong anyway, it's all bent back. I can see what they've done though, it's very flexible wire. Not pleased at all. Okay, I'm really struggling. I'm going to try and find or make some better crimpers. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I have a small success to report. I've connected that wire, so it's back how it was. This is the original boot latch, and this is in the open condition. Hang on, I'll just latch it, for which I could probably use two hands. No, maybe I can do it. Okay, that's latched. That's in the latched position. In other words, that should not register the boot lid as being open. If I turn the ignition off and on, watch the signals on the dash. Right front door open, boot open, right front door open, boot open. Okay. Now, if I unplug this, hang on. Okay, I've unplugged that. This is the new one. So there's the new one plugged in. So if I latch it, there, that's latched. Okay. Okay, I'll put the keys in, turn them on. Right front door open. Right front door open. Right front door open. Okay. So in other words, it's registering the boot as latched now. And I think, yeah, the central locking works now. The central locking wouldn't work while there was a boot open signal. Now, unusually, this boot open signal wasn't due to a wiring failure. It's a failure of the whatever it is in there that you know, makes a contact. I sussed that out by testing those terminals there, and there wasn't a contact. And what I did on that, the number 2 and the number 3, I shorted it with a wire, and that made the contact as if the boot was open. That's when I knew that that thing wasn't working. So it was only a tenner. I just bought that for a tenner, and that is now giving that boot open signal. So I wonder if I press this. Oh, hang on. Yeah, did you see that? That just worked on the central locking on the boot open. So we can now open the boot with the key, even though it should open on the handle, and hopefully it will open on the handle when I finish doing what I'm doing. So yeah, so good report, good progress to report. So I'm going to continue with this job, awkward as it is, and I'll bring you back when there's more to show. I was working on the Fiat yesterday and I turned the camera off because I was really struggling. I didn't turn the camera back on again, but I did make good progress. Now, one of the things that didn't work was the central locking. Now I'm thinking, I don't know which one's which now. So what's that? Unlock or lock? That's locked. So the central locking worked, and that's just unlocked. Also, you can open the boot. That's just open the boot. Oh, which I haven't put all the trim back on yet. So the boot works, but also the handle works as well. So that opens it as well. Now that's good, because yesterday that didn't appear to be working, but once I'd finished everything, it did work. So that's the full functionality of the vehicle. I've got to clip the harness in place and reconnect a few things, and that's the job complete. And there was, let's have a think. This is where the harness runs, and that was where all the wires were broken, and I've let that new harness in. You can't see any sign of it at all. It's all in here. But that's all working. And the other thing was, this one was faulty. Not this one, but the one I took off. Where is it? Doesn't matter. There it is. This was faulty and wasn't sending the boot closed signal. That, I believe, stopped the central locking from working, because it always thought the boot was open. So once that failed, the central locking stopped working. The wires had broken in there, and I'm not sure what the problem there was. So that's a second issue. And there was a third issue, that this, you used to pull it and it didn't come back like that. So that contact was always made in there. That must have caused confusion to the system. So I've got to put the plastic bits back in there. I've got to reassemble everything, and then it's done. Quite a complex job in the end. Oh, there was one more thing. I might not be able to show you this. There's a fuse box in the glove box, under the glove box down there. You can just about see it. Can you see that yellow one on the left about halfway up? That's the central locking fuse, and that had blown. Possibly due to broken wires in the back touching and something, but that has blown. So I've borrowed the fuse out the power window for this side, and I've got some replacement fuse in there, so I've got to replace that as well. Put that back in. So what can you say? So there we are, the old Fiat back. It's got a new alternator and new belt, so it's up and running, back on the road again. Okay, right, I'll get everything back in place and call it good. Hello, here's the old Fiat. I actually took it back this morning to my son's and left it on the drive, and I went to lock it, it wouldn't lock. So I thought, oh, that's funny, something wrong. It was trying to lock, but it wouldn't lock. And I've kind of been working on it. You can see the door cards hanging out. This is the remote cable that goes to the lock. This is the inside door handle, and this inside door handle was stiff. I tried spraying some lubricant on it, some silicone lubricant, and it felt like it made it stiffer. So I've took it apart and I filed that inside hinge piece there, and I filed inside of there, and I think I might have done a bit much, but I assembled it back and it was still a little bit stiff. So what I did, I ran a small round file through the hinge hole there, and now you can see it's really loose. So that shouldn't give any resistance, because what was happening was this was trying to lock, this cable was trying to push this in, and because this wouldn't go in, oh no, it was trying to pull it, sorry, it was trying to pull that to make that go in, and because it couldn't do it, it rejected the locking command. So you'd lock it and it'd unlock as soon as you release the key, or as soon as you tried to do it. So I'll put this back on and hopefully it should all work now and we can take it back to my son's again. So I've kind of foiled at the last hurdle. Okay, righto. Let's see how if it works okay when it's back together. But I think first of all I'll try it like it is now. I put the three screws in and latch the door, and now it locks and unlocks, and then you can unlock it like that, and you can see the cable moving here. Now if I apply a little bit of resistance to this, let's see if I can do it. If I apply a little bit of resistance to that and try and lock it, can you see that it doesn't pull it? It did that time. In other words, the pull on, if I resist it now, did you hear that it locks and unlocks? That's unlocked now. So you have to have no resistance for this pulling, and that was the problem with that handle. It over the years it's gone a bit stiff. Okay, righto, I'll get it all back together then and bring it back at the end. Okay, I've reassembled it. Here's my key, lock, unlock, and you can see it's working because you can see the handle on the other side. Look, lock, unlock, so that's unlocked. Lock, lock, unlock, and just a couple of things to note for anybody doing the same job. Oh, there's one screw there, up that hole. There's one there and one there. And this is a little bit loose now. I don't think it'll cause a problem, but if it's tight and doesn't move easily, it's going to cause problems. The one last thing to show, this cover just clips in. So when you want to get it off, you just kind of lever it out. And what I did, because I hadn't got any tools with me when I started, I just actually put that down there and prized it out with that, and it came out. And there's a little plastic, piece that goes on there. So that's that. Yeah, so now lock. Of course that doesn't work. Unlock. That works. That didn't work before. That's one of the repairs that I've done. So yeah, and that can just unlock the boot. Yeah, good. That's the last of my little jobs on the Fiat. I'm going to drop that back down to my son's tomorrow morning, and he can continue to use it with lots of things fixed. Alternator, drive belt, brake hoses, central locking, boot latch repair, boot catch replacement, and oil change and filter change and air filter change. So that's a good little round of work. It's been very, very long overdue for a lot of those things. Okay, thanks for joining me in the garage. I hope you found some of that interesting. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers then, bye.